So the FDA just recently officially approved one of the COVID vaccines, specifically the Pfizer manufactured vaccine. Take a look at what President Biden had said about this, and then I'll talk about it.
So let me say this loudly and clearly. If you're one of the millions of Americans who said that they will not get the shot until it has full and final approval of the FDA, it has now happened. The moment you've been waiting for is here. It's time for you to go get your vaccination and get it today. Today.
Okay, so this is pretty cool development. Firstly, allow me to start off by touching on the point of, or that Biden referenced in that video, that the millions of Americans that were waiting for this ruling, they can finally now and go get vaccinated. Let me tell you something. I think the amount of Americans that were waiting, quote unquote, for the FDA to give their official ruling on one of the COVID vaccines is being overestimated here. I don't think that there's a large number of people in this country that were specifically waiting for the FDA to give their ruling, and now that they have, they're time to go get vaccinated. They're gonna jump. They're ready. They're gonna jump up and go to their nearest CVS or Walgreens or wherever they're administering the COVID vaccine near you, and go and receive it. I think that's being overestimated, but this is seemingly good development. What this does is it gives entities the ability to mandate the vaccine. I know for a fact Lloyd Austin said not too long ago, the defense secretary, that the Pentagon was going to mandate the vaccine for the entire military, I believe. And this can apply to schools, universities, in other places and what have you. But what I find most interesting about this is the people that were firstly saying that the vaccines were not, the anti-vaccine people. They were saying that the vaccine was not approved by the FDA, therefore it's somehow bad, right? When in fact it was approved under the emergency authorization, because we were in a pandemic, people needed it, so they did it that way. Because there's a long and arduous process that vaccines have to go through to get officially approved. And so the Pfizer vaccine makes it through. It gets approved for people 16 and up. And as expected, I see it online, I see it on Twitter, the anti-vaccine crowd, they move the goalpost, which is what anyone ever does when they're caught up, right? So at first it was, what? The FDA, they haven't even approved the vaccine, man. What are you talking about? Now all of a sudden it's, do you really think that the FDA has your best interest at heart? You trust the FDA? I mean, just moving the goalpost. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. It's quite hilarious to me, actually, And there is something to say about people's indifference to, government institutions or just institutions in general. And every sector of the population does have reasonable gripe with whatever institution that they have. I mean the way that our government has handled the pandemic has not been good in the slightest. The way our institutional leaders, we had Fauci early on telling us that masks didn't work, but we then came to find out that he only said that as a lie so that people wouldn't go out and get all the N95 masks, the ones that the frontline healthcare providers needed, when he just could have came out and said that the first time instead of causing a lot of confusion. We had that, and we had many other instances where they just wouldn't tell us the truth, and where they would pretend to know things when they really didn't. And, there's also something to say about science and how science changes. And when you follow the data, you learn new facts and you present them. And it's not that, what you previously knew was untrue or you shouldn't believe certain individuals. It's just that the data can change and situations can change. But on the subject of vaccines, I don't think that this is a debatable topic. I don't think that this is one of those things where it's some big Ponzi scheme and everybody that receives the COVID vaccine is going to die in 5 years or some shit, or whatever the anti-vaxxers say. I'm not in those conversations, so I don't know what they say. One of the most stark examples is polio. The polio vaccine was created, and now we no longer have to deal with polio. I mean, and there's countless examples of this. Um, when it comes to medicine, when it comes to vaccines, these things can, without a doubt, be trusted. But it's the institutions. Like if you want to point to big pharma and how corrupted they are and how profit driven they are, you're 100% correct in that aspect. But if you think that somehow this mass effort to get the American people vaccinated so that they don't die from a disease is somehow a scheme to turn people into robots or whatever it is, the agenda that they're pushing nowadays, you're just wrong on that. And then, another argument people like to fall back on is freedom. And my question on that is, why is that the freedom thing only applies to this particular issue? Why don't you take issue with the fact that you are asked to wear a seatbelt when you get into a vehicle? Why don't you take issue with the fact that you have to stop at red lights? You see, all those things are done to preserve human life. Because what if there were no red lights and you just blew through every intersection? There'd be a lot of death. What if nobody wore a seatbelt? There'd be a lot of death. So what they're doing is they're trying to prevent, say it with me now, death, mass death on the scale that it would be absolutely awful and horrid if we didn't have the vaccine and if people weren't getting vaccinated. But who knows? Maybe this will incentivize more people to get vaccinated. Maybe it won't. But I do definitely think that it's being overstated that people were somehow just waiting around, watching their clocks go by, waiting for the FDA to give the ruling, and now they can get up and get vaccinated. Now, are some people going to do that? Probably. But is it going to be a mass population that's going to do that? No, I highly doubt it. But here's the FDA's ruling. Let's see if it makes a substantial difference.